Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Osiris Royal Tech. I'm your host, Osiris, and in today's episode, we are going to learn about SQL lesson number 7 on SQL Bolt, which is outer joins. So let's dive straight in. All right. All right, 1 second. All right. Okay, so what we're going to do, as usual, is we are going to go ahead and go over some of 1 second. All right, we're going to go over some of the verbiage, some of the readings, so that way you get a better understanding of how outer joins work. All right, so let's dive in. Okay, so depending on how you want to analyze the data, the inner join we used in the last session might not be sufficient because of the resulting table only contains data that belongs in both of the tables, right? So, for example, if the two tables have asymmetric data, which can easily happen when data is entered into different stages, then we would have to use a left join, a right join, or full join instead to ensure that the data you need is not left out of the results. All right. So like the inner join, these three new joins have to specify which column to join the data on. When joining table A to table B, a left join simply includes rows from A, regardless of whether a matching row is found in B. All right, so remember that one. Okay, now the right join is the same, but just reversed, keeping rows in B regardless of whether it is found in A. And then finally, we have full join, which simply means the rows from both tables are kept, regardless of whether a matching row exists in the other table. All right. So this is another thing. When using any of these new joins, you will likely have to write additional logic with nulls in the results and constraints. All right. So let's dive into this particular exercise. And in this exercise, you're going to be working with a new table which stores fictional data about employees in the firm, in the film studio, and their assigned office buildings. Some of the buildings are new, so they don't have any employees in them yet. But we need to find some information about them regardless. All right. And this is just like real world examples, especially if you decide to get into the entertainment industry and you're behind the scenes as a data engineer, data analyst, data, scientist, et cetera, et cetera. The list goes on and on. All right. And this is important for SQL to know. All right. Since the browser and their SQL database is somewhat limited, only the left join is supported in the exercise below. And that's what I tend to find, I believe, throughout the entire course, is that the left join is the only join that's allowed. But let's see. All right, we have two tables, buildings and table employees. All right. As you can see, buildings, we just have building name, capacity, and employees. We have, just that way you're aware, you do have to go ahead and click on the table and then scroll. All right, we have role, name, building, and years employed. Okay, then as usual, we have our query results. Okay, and let's dive in, shall we? So the first exercise is find the list of all buildings that have employees. This should be pretty simple considering the information that we have already went over in previous videos. So we're going to select, right? This one's important. Distinct, all right? And building, we're going to select distinct building from employees. All right, you can see the check mark and distinct, if you remember correctly. All right, so the distinct, we'll go ahead and make it to where essentially no duplicates, essentially. All right, so find the list of all buildings and their capacity. That's the next one. Okay. So for this one, considering we want to find the list of all the buildings, so select all from buildings. All right, there we go. Building name, capacity, we found all, and once again, check mark. Number 3, list all buildings and the distinct, that's the key word, distinct employee roles in each building, including empty buildings. All right. Now remember, just don't make this more complex than what it should be. All right. Don't overthink SQL. As soon as you start doing that, then you start encountering errors and having to Google a lot more than is necessary, thus wasting time. All right. So for this one, we're going to select distinct. It's a keyword. All right. Building underscore name and role from buildings. Okay. And we're going to do a left join on employees. All right. So employees, and join it over here to buildings. So left join employees onto the buildings. So on building underscore name equals building. Oh, there we go. Okay. As you can see, another check mark for this particular exercise, which once again was list all buildings and distinct employee roles in each building, and also include the empty buildings. That's exactly what we did here. Building name, role, IE, engineer, manager, 1W, blank, 2E, also blank, so on and so forth. So that concludes our SQL lesson number 7 inside of SQL Bolt, and that's how you go over outer joins. And in this case, we did use left join, but just keep that in mind that inside of SQL bolts, it seems like how they work and everything else like that, they usually only deal with like left join, or sometimes you could even select join, and that could also work as well. So just a heads up, and that concludes this lesson, and until next time, take care.